For too many years, I've seen people over prioritize the bench press, and that's not a bad thing. However, you should be strong in a vertical plane of motion as well. So if your shoulders are lacking, it might be time to bring up your vertical pressing strength. I've never seen someone be able to overhead press a certain amount of weight, let's say 225 pounds, and not be able to bench press that same weight. It's just impossible. If you're strong enough to put a certain weight over your head, you're probably strong enough to bench press it. So no one ever got a weaker bench press by prioritizing their shoulders. It just won't happen. And the thing is, even if you want to prioritize your shoulders, you really only need to do a vertical pressing movement probably about one time per week. And then your other movements can be smaller things such as dumbbells or lateral raises or just any small movements like that. So what I like to do, I'm running conjugate, so I do some vertical pressing in my max effort movements. I believe I have right now 2 or 3 of them. And I also like to have main assistance work, either at a higher incline or vertical. This allows my shoulders to stay strong. Now, what a lot of people thought for years is that overhead pressing was just a front delt exercise. And if you look at the anatomy, I don't know how someone can think that. As soon as the arm goes over your head in the locked position, your medial delt is firing really, really hard. So how someone can think this is just a front delt exercise? Why would anyone overhead press if they could just do front raises if that was the case? So it's not. It's just pretty stupid in my opinion. So you're seeing a bunch of variations here: off pins, seated, standing, barbell presses. And these are all solid movements. Some I use for max effort, some I use for assistant to do it for higher reps. Both are great. I find if you're someone that's a very strong standing presser, because you can get leverages and you can really use your whole body, that's great. However, but if you really want to challenge your actual delt muscles, try doing them seated. Another great assistance exercise for vertical pressing strength is what you see here, the one arm dumbbell overhead press. This is also really great for your core. So if you're an athlete of any type, I would prioritize this lift, but don't go super light on it. Don't be afraid to put some weight on there. Makes the exercise actually a lot better when you're doing heavy weights as opposed to just feeling like prehab. Landmine presses are another great exercise for athletes and just your shoulder in general. Now, here's something people never really would think of, but incline presses do hypertrophy your delts a lot in addition to your chest. I like to think of incline as an exercise that helps build your flat bench and your vertical pressing strength in one. So it's kind of like a hybrid exercise. The incline is a very versatile movement. Now, I've been doing a lot of close grip incline, as you can see here. All these clips are within the last couple of weeks, and it's great chest, shoulders, triceps, but specifically the delts. Now, any of these movements I showed you, you could just do them with dumbbells. Now, to cap off the video, some isolation movements, or let's just call them smaller movements, for the shoulders that I like are Lou raises. I did a whole video on those where it's like a lateral raise, except you go all the way up and externally and internally rotate your shoulders. It's great for the whole shoulder joint and your side and front delts. Not so much your front, a little bit of your front. Then for rear delts, I like really any rowing movement. My rear delts have never really been weak. If you're prioritizing rows, you really should not have lacking rear delts. Really, only professional bodybuilders have to worry about bringing up their rear delts, because if you're rowing serious enough weights of various angles, your rear delts will be brought up with your back work. But if you need to, there are things you can do. I like doing this gymnastics ring circuit. I'll do Y raises at a certain angle, and then I'll move into like gymnastics rings face pulls, and then I'll just move into doing some rear delt raises with the rings. You can do this with dumbbells and lie face down on a bench. It gives the same effect. But overall, this is how I've built my shoulders don't always rely on the bench press for your pressing strength. Don't be afraid to do some vertical pressing as well and some hypertrophy work to give your shoulders that capped look.